Coming up on today's San Francisco 49ers report, in the aftermath of the 2024 NFL Draft, some quality players still available in NFL free agency, and after a little bit of a lull period, we could start to see some of these players sign with teams because they do not count against the compensatory pick formula. Niners free agency. Right now, San Francisco equipped with $6.3 million in cap space per over the cap. But San Francisco is going to get $18 million in cap space for the 2024 season on June 1st. All because of the Arik Armstead release. And with the rules of the NFL, when you release a player like that, the NFL doesn't award you with all that money. So they make you wait a little bit, and they're going to give San Francisco that money on June 1 as part of that Arik Armstead release to save a little bit of coin. Now, San Francisco can use that money toward a Brandon Ayuk contract extension or other contract extensions for the existing players on their roster, but they could use that money for some internal players who we're going to talk about here today. And as we know, San Francisco adding 8 players in the 2024 NFL Draft, including a handful of undrafted free agents. If you've been living under a rock and you've been hibernating and you're still depressed and sad after that Niners Super Bowl loss, here are the Niners draftees. Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver out of Florida, round 1, 31st overall. Renardo Green, round 2, 64 overall, the cornerback out of Florida State. Dominic Pooney, offensive guard, offensive tackle hybrid, round 3, 86th overall pick. Malik Mustafa, safety out of Wake Forest, round 4, 124. Isaac Guerendo, Niners traded up for him, round 4, 129, running back out of Louisville. Back to the wide receiver well with Jacob Cowing, round 4, 135 overall, the wide receiver out of Arizona. Jarrett Kingston, another interior offensive lineman who, like Dominic Pooney, played tackle last year, did not give up a sack, both of those players. Round 6, 215. And then Tatum Bethune, round 7, 251, hard-hitting linebacker out of Florida State. That gives you an indication what the Niners addressed positionally during the draft, and also gives you an indication of what they could still address coming up here on today's show in NFL free agency. With that, this is today's poll question. What say you? The biggest remaining need for the Niners is what? Did not draft a defensive lineman. I'd say that. Secondary, still a little bit of an issue. Backup tight end, huge problem behind George Kittle in my estimation. Show me that you like ball and that you know ball, and you know this roster by getting down in the comment section right now. A good crop of free agents do still remain here on the free agency market. Justin Simmons, a 4-time All-Pro player, leads the NFL in interceptions since entering the league in 2016 with 30. Stephon Gilmore last year, after the injury to Trayvon Diggs, I thought stepped in and played really good football on the outside at the cornerback position for the Dallas Cowboys. Quandre Diggs is a player who was let go for financial reasons by Seattle, but I think that he has some gas left in the tank. Xavien Howard played solid ball last year for the Miami Dolphins under Vic Fangio. He could give you some outside cornerback help. And then Calais Campbell, not much of a scheme fit here for San Francisco, but massive size at 6'8", can play the end, can play defensive tackle, still pretty productive too this late in his NFL career. Of that grouping right there, I would say that Justin Simmons would be my favorite free agent target. And the Niners obviously have inquired about safeties all throughout this offseason. They did address that position in the NFL draft with Malik Mustafa. He's an unknown. Justin Simmons is a known commodity. And even though he's on the wrong side of 30, he's still playing at an extraordinary high level. And the Niners have checked in specifically with Justin Simmons. So that would be a free agency acquisition for the Niners that would certainly move the needle and help this football team in this Super Bowl window. The next wave of available free agents. And some people have mentioned Robert Tonyan as a backup tight end. He could also be an option amidst this list as well. Adoree Jackson, slot corner with return ability. Jamal Adams, the Niners, according to the Seattle Times, have kept in touch with him throughout the offseason here. Steven Nelson, really solid cornerback who has played good football over the last couple of years. Odell Beckham Jr. still looking for a home. There were some reports that maybe he was going to sign with the Miami Dolphins. That never came to fruition. And then Micah Hyde at the safety spot as well. Couple of really solid safeties, accomplished safeties, or safeties with a lot of name value who are still in the free agency market. And I like the selection of Renardo Green for San Francisco in the second round of the draft. Little bit of a reach, just like Ricky Pearsall, but what did the Niners accomplish in the draft? They drafted a lot of players with a lot of experience, and Renardo Green is a player who was accomplished and experienced at Florida State, really good ball skills, led the ACC in pass breakups last year, is very tough and physical, loves to play man press. He could play inside, outside, and could play a little bit of safety. So when you go into OTAs, when you go into rookie minicamp, you want to be able to gauge, okay, can he play right away? Can he contribute as a rookie here, inside or outside, for a Niners secondary that does have some question marks? If he can't, then that's when the Niners might look the free agency route, because you can't spoil these Super Bowl aspirations here. One thing this Niners draft class has is what I just briefly mentioned. That is experience. And when you look at all of the players who San Francisco added in the NFL draft, there is one consistent theme. They have played a lot of football. I broke this down on my X page at Chase_Senior. Give me a follow there, formerly known as Twitter. A vast amount of experience for this 2024 draft class for San Francisco. The 8 players taken played a combined 402 games in college with 261 starts. What I think that does, it gives San Francisco flexibility, immediate depth, with the possibility of their rookies having roles this year, or if they have to redshirt this year, they'll be ready to go in 2025. Ricky Pearsall, 5-year senior, 55 games, 34 starts. Renardo Green, 52 games, 32 starts, 5-year college player. Dominic Pooney, 47 games, 43 starts, 6-year college player. Malik Mustafa, 39 games, 24 starts, 4-year college player. Isaac Guerendo, 41 games, 1 start. That's the player who is somewhat inexperienced, but he still played 41 games. He's a 6-year college player. Jacob Cowing, 58 games, 52 starts, 5-year college player. Jarrett Kingston, 49 games, 37 starts, 6-year college player. And then you have Tatum Bethune, 61 games, 38 starts, 5-year college player. So this gives you a lot of roster flexibility for San Francisco going into this year. But then you look at that crop of players, they could be the future replacements of Adebo Samuel, Jawan Jennings, Diamador Lenore, Ambry Thomas, Aaron Banks, Talanoa Hufanga, because they all play those positions, and some of them have similar traits. Please make sure you subscribe to the show for daily and year-round coverage of the Niners. And we are approaching already 133,000 subscribers. And if the Niners make a move in free agency, signing one of these players or somebody else, we're going to talk about it right here on the 49ers Report. Our show today is sponsored by PrizePicks, the best daily fantasy sports app in the game. And it's daily fantasy sports made easy. You pick 2 or more players. You choose more or less on their projected stats, and you can win up to 25 times your money. Some of the future selections that we like, Christian McCaffrey has already been putting in work in the lab, looking very, very in shape for the upcoming 2024 season after he led the NFL with touches and all-purpose yards and was the NFL Offensive Player of the Year. Let's go more than 1,150.5 rushing yards. Michael Pittman Jr., more than 1,050.5 receiving yards. And then Derrick Henry, more than 10.5 rushing touchdowns this campaign. Win big money, withdraw your winnings, pick more, pick less, pick PrizePicks. And again, you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, $100 deposit match right there. Let's continue to move forward with our top free agent targets. San Francisco, earlier in the free agency period, did show some interest in Tyler Boyd, who surprisingly is still out there as a very productive player, who's been a good player for the Cincinnati Bengals for a long time. After San Francisco, though, drafted Ricky Pearsall and Jacob Cowing, I can't see them going with another wide receiver. A lot of you want us to talk about some offensive linemen. A few here on your page. Connor Williams coming off a knee injury. Donovan Smith, I don't think that he can really play. Michael Thomas, so many injury issues over the last several years, just another wide receiver there. And then Dalton Risner is a player who has been available, he has been productive, and he's had a pretty accomplished NFL career. And let's give credit where credit is due to the San Francisco 49ers organization, the scouting department, and this front office. We were asking for them to improve the offensive line. They did address the offensive line in taking two players, Dominic Pooney and Jarrett Kingston, who played tackle last year, did not give up a sack last year, and have positional versatility to probably play inside, but can also play outside in a pinch if they need to. Unfortunately, though, I was dumbfounded by this. For the second consecutive draft, San Francisco did not bring in any competition for Colton McKivitz at right tackle. So Colton McKivitz, who gave up 11 sacks last year, still on this roster and doesn't have anybody competing with him. I think that's a little bit of an issue, which brings us up to a player like David Bakhtiari, all-pro level player. He used that to get a lofty contract extension with the Green Bay Packers, protecting Aaron Rodgers. Him and Aaron Rodgers, the bestest of friends. Besties, as some people like to say it. But since he landed that big contract extension, he has not been able to stay healthy. And for that reason, he might have the ability, he might have the track record of success, but over the last multiple seasons, he also has a track record of being injured a lot. Ryan Tannehill, I think San Francisco pretty good at the quarterback spot. Josh Dobbs, Brandon Allen, Tanner Mordecai is an undrafted free agent, but if one of your backups either doesn't play well or he gets injured, when I look into Ryan Tannehill, of course, he's played a lot, and you can win games with the run-centric offense. Andrus Peat is a player who can play tackle, can play guard. He's had some solid stretches of play for the New Orleans Saints. Zach Cunningham was signed late by the Philadelphia Eagles last year, led all linebackers and tackles on that team. He can still play at least a little bit. And then Tashaun Gipson. I would not rule out a Tashaun Gipson return. He's kind of been year to year over the last 2 years while playing with the San Francisco 49ers, and he's played really good football, a solid backup safety at this point, who last year was a starting safety for this team because he gave this team very, very good snaps. San Francisco, in totality, still has a top-tier roster, and following the NFL draft, I was putting together a 53-man roster projection. My goodness, what a difficult roster to put together, especially at linebacker, corner, and just overall defensively, because at linebacker, corner specifically, a lot of players who are going to be competing for spots in San Francisco, I thought did a good job of stacking up some depth there. And then you have these UDFAs who are also going to try to make this team as well. Evan Anderson, he got practice squad money, $280,000 from the Niners. 30 grand just to sign. Tariq Owens, the son of Terrell Owens. Cody Schrader, highly productive player last year from Mizzou, from D2 to walk-on to a star in the SEC. Jalen Mahoney, safety out of Vanderbilt, has a little positional versatility. Ryasan Mays, center out of Southern Miss, a little bit lighter, uphill battle to make the roster. Tanner Mordecai has a pretty strong arm, some giddy up with the legs. Drake Nugent, I think, can make the Niners roster. Started every game last year for the national champion winning Michigan Wolverines and was a very productive center who did not have a lot of losses on tape. And then Mason Pline, tight end Furman, backup tight end, an issue for this team for sure. So which free agent do you want the Niners to sign? Just a top 20 list right there with some notable free agents who San Francisco could add to this roster now, sometime in the foreseeable future, or a little bit down the road.